Good evening. What you're about to see is the second episode of Hacked. But before we get into that, I would like to take a moment to address a situation that occurred recently that requires all of our attention. As many of you may have heard, Harris County Sheriff Deputy Sandeep Dhaliwal was fatally shot multiple times in the head in an ambush-style attack on September the 27th. He was airlifted to a hospital where he would be pronounced dead. Deputy Dhaliwal was 47 years old. While we cannot speculate what happened, nor will we ever know what was going through the mind of the suspect as he carried out this vile act, our hearts are hurting for the deputy's family, his community, and his fellow deputies. Sometimes I think society forgets that despite our differences, we are all the same on the inside. Humans come in all different shapes and sizes. We all look different, come from different backgrounds, and believe in different things. But on the inside, we are all the same. Diversity is important to human evolution, and it is what makes us the most complex creatures on the face of the earth. Without diversity, we would likely have never had made the advancements in research and technology that have been made possible by people who have different thought process. At the end of the day, we should all show compassion for one another and work to make this world a better place for all. We should fight against hate and embrace diversity. We should stand up for what's right and not tolerate those who choose to take from others. We have to remember that profession and character are two different things, and combining them in a stereotypical fashion is wrong. Every profession has good characters and bad characters, and assuming that all characters reflect the actions of the bad characters is what leads us to the tragedies that we see time and time again. Our time on Earth is limited, and in that short time it's vital for us to leave a legacy that will carry on for generations to come. The Golden Rule says that we should treat others the way that we would want to be treated in return. I think the more important message that we can all resolve to do is to treat others the way that we would treat our friends, family, and neighbors. The time to take action is now. On behalf of Change Force Corporation, our hearts and prayers go out to Deputy Dhaliwal, his family, his fellow law enforcement officers, and the entire community. Please join me in a moment of tribute for Deputy Sandeep Dhaliwal.
Well then, you got a run number. If you're looking for Microsoft, you got a run number. Thank you. Bye-bye.
No, wait. You don't want to
The
hang up on
person
me.
you are speaking with has put your call on.
Welcome to Hacked, a Change Force production. In this series, we will cover topics ranging from online security to scammers who try and steal your hard-earned money. The stories you hear throughout this series are real, and the topics covered are backed up by research and statistics gathered through reliable resources. Although some content has been edited out, viewer discretion is advised.
Thank you for calling IOG Technical Support. My name is Brescher. How can I help you today?
Okay. How may I help you, sir?
Oh, hey guys, glad that you could make it. Guess what? It's class time again, and today's topic is links. By the end of this lesson, you should have a pretty good working knowledge of how to verify links and what they do. Let's get started. Well, for starters, links are everywhere today. They take us to our favorite shopping sites, local news stories, social media sites, websites, financial institution sites, sites about sites, sites about dogs, sites about weather, and even sites that might not be appropriate for all audiences. Of course, if you click on one of those, you might start getting a screen like this. Okay, so let's get this mess out of the way. So links are basically like an instruction packet that gets sent to the web server, and they tell the web server where it can find the file or web page that you're looking for. Once the web server receives this communication, it grabs that information and sends it back to your computer screen so that you can see it. You can think of a link as kind of a key to a lock. If that key doesn't match or is broken, then you won't be getting anything. Now, links are important, but not all of them have been created equally. Because they are literally everywhere, some links are very, very long. This link is a perfect example of this. This link is super long, and it's actually a simple Google search for cats. As links started to get longer, social media and other sharing services started to become harder to use for link sharing due to character restrictions. Although link shortening services were first made available in 2001, they didn't start gaining a lot of traction or popularity until about 2009, when Bitly, a link shortening service, reported that links generated through their service were accessed about 2.1 billion times. Now, we pretty much see short links everywhere, but before we go too far, we should understand that while short links are helpful in certain situations, they are also subject to abuse, and that's especially true when scammers get a hold of them. Short links function similarly to how regular links function, except in this case we have a middleman. The short link goes to the service provider's server that owns the short link domain, and then that short link contains the information that tells the server what you're looking for. This information is then redirected to the final destination, which leads to your web page. Scammers can easily take advantage of short links by using them to redirect you to malicious websites that look like legitimate ones. Since short links have become so popular and trusted in the community, a scammer short link can take you to a fake bank login that may look identical to your real bank and coax you into giving them your login information. Another misuse of short links originate from what short links are capable of today. Whenever you visit a website, certain information gets passed along to the server. This information can include demographic data such as your city, state, and country, your IP address, the type of device and browser you're using to access the web page, and of course the date and time you accessed the web page. This information is very helpful for legitimate businesses because it provides an insight on who is viewing their content and what they are using to browse their content. This information is also helpful for scammers who can use this data to pretend like they know a lot of information about you. If they already know your name, they could use this data to find out what city and state you reside in and what kind of device you have. So for example, tech support scammers can really use this information to make them sound very legitimate. What we commonly see scammers with this information do is call victims and tell them that they are, for example, from Microsoft, and they received a notification that a computer with this IP address in this city and state has a virus that needs immediate attention. Of course, you should never fall for this scam because Microsoft doesn't receive notifications from your computer and they don't make cold calls to tell you that you have a virus. But the fact is that this information gives the scammer the ability to trick you into believing that they are legitimate when they are not. This information is also handy for people like me, especially when it comes to getting information on a scammer that could be used to identify them at a later date. Let's take a look at a recent catch where we did just that. Now, before we dig into this wonderful conversation with a popular Coca-Cola scammer that I have been working on recently, I would like to say that this conversation is actually pretty fast-paced. This scammer, for some reason, seems to be in a real hurry to get as much out of me as possible. This conversation took place on the popular platform WhatsApp, which has received a giant thumbs down as of late, but we'll get into that in just a little bit. For now, let's jump right into the conversation. Now, this WhatsApp number was found during one of our scammer busts, and it was actually pretty unusual. The scammer didn't offer up any information at first, only saying that they had a job opportunity. Definitely not a good start. So I reached out to this guy, and unfortunately he did not respond right away, so the waiting game began. So at 2 a.m. the next morning, this scammer finally gave me a one-word answer, and then tried to call me. Unfortunately, I was not available at the time, or else we would have had some audio from this scammer. Nonetheless, the next night I was available and reached back out to the scammer, and we finally hit gold. Now, I didn't get to talk to the scammer on the phone because I didn't have my audio equipment with me, and what fun is it messing with these guys when you can't record it and post it later, right? So this scammer started talking to me at 2 a.m. again the next morning, so I'm assuming that this is the scammer's start time. Seeing this consistent time is actually a sign that this scammer is what we would classify as a mule, or basically a participant in the scam but not the head honcho. Scammers that work for themselves are usually not as consistent when it comes to time, and it's not common at all for the head honcho to be involved in participating in the scam. The mules are expendable and are usually at the lower end of the totem pole, taking home a very small percentage of what they steal from you while the rest goes to the leader. So now that we're making strides with this scammer, I ask him to tell me what job opportunity he has. What's important at this point is for me to understand what I'm dealing with, and in order for me to understand that, I need to know the exact scam. So this scammer tells me that he's hiring for Coca-Cola, which is amazing news for me because I'm working hard to end this scam, so I have hit gold. The scammer also tells me that he is specifically hiring for the U.S., but unfortunately, he doesn't know what our flag looks like because that's definitely the flag of Liberia. I guess we can give him a B- for effort because the two flags do look quite alike, and maybe the scammer was thinking of Texas. Well, anyway, this guy is really wanting to get down to business and doesn't have a whole lot of time for this flag nonsense, so he's going to jump right into the application process. This is now becoming like a game of chess, and he played a pretty rapid move. He wants my name and age, pretty common. He also wants to know if I've ever traveled outside of the country, like maybe I took that cruise to Liberia back in 2000 and late. How much do I earn? Have I ever been in trouble with the popo? And my fully residential address. This is all pretty standard stuff, seeing as it's happening on WhatsApp, and I kind of don't even know exactly who he is, other than the fact that his post said his name was Ola, and there really is no information whatsoever about who he is. Okay, so I make my next move and give him all of my information. Well, at least some fake information, and of course I give him my fully residential address, which happens to be the FBI building in Washington, D.C., with an apartment number slapped on, and who knows, maybe the FBI will be receiving a postcard from this guy soon. I would love to see that one. So I'm pretty sure he's buying my story so far, but now he's moving super fast, and he already wants my passport and my CV. I try to stay face and keep him on the line as long as possible by telling him that I don't have a passport, but I do have a driver's license. If you look at the timestamps, you will literally see just how fast this guy is working. Out of the 400 plus scammers I've busted this year, I have never seen a scammer move so fast. Normally these guys will try and build rapport for brownie points, but this seems like this guy just can't wait to get this process over with. This guy really wants all of my information. And if I had to take a guess, his end goal is to steal my identity and use it for something. I'm assuming that because, to this point, he hasn't asked me for anything financial, which, if you watched the last episode of Hacked, you'll know that this is very unusual. So I'm still trying to buy some time in hopes that I can keep him on the line long enough to get my audio equipment, But getting my audio equipment is still about 6 hours away at this point, and I highly doubt he's going to talk to me for another 10 minutes, so I have to make my move now. As I prepare to put him in checkmate, I stall him for one more moment while I get everything ready. I planted the seed in a PG type of way and hinted about uploading it to Google Drive. This will actually be important in a moment because now I'm trying to build rapport with him, so he's not suspect when I send him a link in the very near future. This guy is still moving faster than Roadrunner, so it's definitely possible that he's starting to lose patience with me at this point. So this guy is getting really nervous now for some reason, and he's moving so fast that he actually calls me again while I'm in the middle of trying to send him the hidden link. So I kind of have to work fast here, and I immediately prep the link and send it to him. When he clicks on the link, this is the image that he sees and nothing else. And he seems confused at first, as you can see. He has absolutely no clue what just happened. So what's actually just happened is I've sent him a short link that takes him to my server first so that I can collect his information without him knowing about it. And then that link redirects him to the photo that you just saw. I want you to pay close attention to what happens the moment that I reveal what happened. So at 2:35 a.m., I told him exactly what country he's located in. He immediately saw that, as you can see the 2 blue check marks at the bottom. It's also important to note that I can still see his profile picture at 2:35, which means that he hasn't blocked me just yet. Within 60 seconds, though, all of that changes. So, in real time, within 15 seconds after seeing my message telling him what country he was in, his picture disappears, which means that he blocked me. So he was probably himself as soon as he knew that the gig was up. So I unfortunately did not get to tell the scammer everything that he gave me, but we're going to show you right now what information I collected, all thanks to this scammer taking the bait. I got his IP address, which we have censored here in case someone else that is not this guy ends up with that IP address. I also got his location in Lagos, Nigeria, which is actually becoming more common now. It tells me the browser, operating system, and device used to click on that link. We know what carrier he has and the fact that he's using the entry-level Infinix Hot 6, which is sold primarily in Kenya and Nigeria. So why does all of this information matter? Well, we can analyze this information to find out more about the lifestyle of the scammer, and it can also help authorities locate him. Now, this phone is actually 2 years old, as the latest model is the Hot 8. And at this time, the price of the phone is listed at 31,200 Nigerian dollars, which equals $86.08 in the United States. Now, the living wage for Nigeria is listed at $43,200 in Nigeria currency per month per individual. So, seeing as this phone looks pretty expensive in comparison to the living wage, we can assume that this scammer is either making a lot of money or is making very bad choices in where he spends his money. Now, all of this information gets turned over to the FBI, and they can do with it what they please. What's important is for us to be proactive in reporting these scams and help keep these scammers away from potential victims. So how can we avoid the scam? First, you should never exchange personal information through WhatsApp, especially if it involves someone you don't know. They can claim to be the Pope, but it doesn't mean anything. The rule of thumb is that any information you share with a scammer can and will be used against you in the very near future. To add on to that previous tip, you should also use common sense whenever dealing with these scammers. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And if it sounds too dumb to believe, you probably shouldn't believe it. Big businesses like Coca-Cola and Amazon have legitimate domains, and the jobs are always listed on their website. These companies will not have you apply through WhatsApp at 2 a.m. Before clicking on a link, there are a number of things that you can do. You can do a Google search of the link, or use the safe browsing tool offered by Google, or you can use a trusted antivirus site like Norton SafeWeb and just paste that link in there to see where it takes you and if it has any maliciousness involved. If you're on a computer, you can also hover over the link to see where it's taking you. Scammers love using hyperlinks because they can say something like Microsoft.com, but the end result is something completely different. Take this example where the link says Microsoft.com, but if you click on it, you're actually going to be sending me an email. If you happen to accidentally click on a link, look up in your address bar and find out where it took you. Look out for common things like Microsoft123.com or added characters and misspellings. Scammers create copycat web pages and use links that closely resemble the actual website, so you're going to want to make sure that you know where you're going. And finally, never take candy from a stranger. Wait, that's not right. I mean, never click on a link from someone you aren't expecting a link from. If some stranger randomly messages you and says, "Hey, is this you?" and there's a link involved, don't click it. Even if it's from a friend, don't click it. You should always get verification first before you ever follow a link. So let's talk about WhatsApp and why it gets a thumbs down from me. So WhatsApp is owned and managed by Facebook, and the management of both platforms has been lackluster as of late. For a company that makes so much money off the consumer, its customer service is severely lacking. Trying to get help in solving a problem is extremely difficult on the platform, and there are many ways that Facebook can use common sense to help prevent those consumers from falling victims to a scam. For starters, Facebook could revamp its process for verification and advertise that verification. Verification is a great tool to help legitimate businesses stand out, but the problem is that Facebook doesn't utilize this process to its full potential. For example, do a search on Facebook for ChangeForce Corporation, and it comes up, but where is our verified badge? You actually have to click and visit the page before you can see the verified badge on this profile, which is not very consumer friendly. If you have a lot of fake pages floating around, this could make the consumer sift through multiple pages before they find a legitimate one, when it should be at the top of the list. After all, we had to send Facebook a lot of information to get that badge in order to verify that we were legitimate. Revamping the look of a verified badge and promoting security-related advertisements that warned end users to only trust information provided through official verified methods would go a long way in reducing the amount of victims these scammers have access to. This process could also be shared with WhatsApp, allowing for a verification process for legitimate companies who want to conduct business on the platform. Allowing legitimate companies the opportunity to verify and use the platform is a great way of increasing communication with its consumers. This tool could also be used by verified businesses to allow representatives to be verified as well, virtually eliminating plenty of scammers while also giving businesses the ability to have more control over representation. Imagine if verified businesses had the ability to give a verification badge to employees who are authorized to represent the company on social media. This could work much like the recent addition to Facebook's Top Fan badge that was implemented. The Facebook user could receive that verification badge and comment or post as an official representative of the company, or choose the option to post without the badge for that everyday post about your doctor's appointment. It would work the same as having the company logo and the size of a badge that is issued by the company, and would tell people that you are an employee or representative that has permission to post about the company by, say, job offers, promotions, etc. This would go a long way for businesses and the consumers, as we would have a verified badge that can be used as a symbol of trust for information. This would allow end users to know when they are reading a post from a reliable source. Of course, not all businesses would opt into this, so it isn't a guaranteed method, but any step in eliminating scammers is better than nothing at all.
No, wait, you don't want to
The
hang up on
person
me.
you are speaking.
No, wait, you don't want to
The
hang up on me.
person you.
No, wait, you don't want to hang up on me.
You are speaking.
So there I was, just sitting around and minding my own business, when suddenly I had a nice little tech support lady on the phone. She tried to play dumb and claimed that the number was actually a hospital, and she was trying to figure out what was wrong with me. Why do so many people think that something is wrong with me? They always think that I am different. He wanted me to have a normal conversation with this scammer. and try and uncover why she was engaging in such a nasty job. I don't understand why she had to be so mean. Dear Diary, all I was trying to do was please him. He's never been on my side. He sits in disappointment no matter what I do. It almost feels like nothing will ever be enough. I just gazed out my window, only to notice that he was no longer sitting out there on the swing. He was very upset with how that scammer acted. She lied and hung up on me before we could even become friends. I wonder where he went. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ScammerVerse battlefield. Join us tonight as we watch Leonard Abell take on some nasty tech support scammers. This is definitely going to be an interesting bout as we watch Leonard Abell
Shut them down.
Thank you for calling support. How can I help you?
You should have never hung up on him.
Your call is very important to us. Please stay on the line.
You'll be transferred to the next available agent.
This will never end. You should have never hung up on him.
Thank you for calling tech support. How may I assist you today?
It's your fault that he ran away. Why did you do it?
Sorry?
Why did you make him run away?
Whom?
You should have never hung up on him.
What?
Because now this will never end until you no longer can make phone calls.
Hang up the call. Call again.
I will call you all day
Why?
because you made him run away.
Thank you for calling. How may I help you?
I told you I would call back.
What you want? Tell me.
I want you to stop scamming people.
Yeah, I stopped it.
Yeah, I don't believe you. You can't get rid of me, no matter how hard you try.